The book of Proverbs, verse 3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. This style movie with like action and adventure. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I think it was one of the people who was either inspired by the book. I think it's called George R. Martin. So some of the major characters there was Gray Alice, and there was Boyce, and there was also can't really see the picture for some reason. Whoever this person was supposed to be, Malrange. There's also the patriarch Joanne. Oh, then also Ash. Ash was also a pretty major character. So these are just some of the basis of some of the people here. Let me see if I can find an overview. So it says like a witch travels to the Lost Lands in search of a magical power that allows a person to transform into a werewolf, which is a pretty good basis for what the movie's about. And I'll get more into it too. This was some footage when I think I was playing my new Mardu deck I built, and it's inspired slightly by the new Dragons of Takir, but I also have a bunch of cards in my collection, so it's kind of like a Mardu beatdown. I've had some pretty decent success with it. There's some really strong decks out there that kind of just like whip my butt, but I mean I managed to win a few times too. It's not like the meta deck, but it's still solid. Okay, so this movie called In the Lost Lands. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this somewhat spoiler light, but there's probably gonna be there's gonna be some spoilers too, right? So I'll try to at least mark the fact that I'm gonna give like some spoilers, but I'll try to keep it light. But there's gonna have to be moments where I'm probably gonna just have to give spoilers. So, because it's kind of just the way it is, right? Okay, so there was a decent amount of Christian themes actually in this movie. So one of the things of this world is so let me just set this up a little bit too. So this is set kind of in like a post-apocalyptic world. Now there's fantasy themes in it, but it's also set in a world that's like kind of like a fallen world of ours, kind of like a Fallout or something, right? I'm not sure there's a really gives the reasons as to exactly why all these things are what they are, but like basically it's a fallen society. So, and there's this like it has a lot of like Mad Max kind of vibes to it. So there is and there's also like a government, and it's like set up by it's some kind of like a patriarchy, and there's like a leader of like the government, and honestly there's also a religious like church. Now I don't know if I would say that it's like one-to-one directly Christianity, but I feel like it's kind of implied that it is the Christian faith. And they also have like big crosses. So and they also in holiness mention God, right? So I'm just going to presume that it's a variation of the Christian faith, even if it's just kind of a little bit indirect. It's a little bit like wishy-washy exactly, but they have big crosses, and they have a big cross out in the land, and it's called like the church, and they reference God. So I will just say that there's some kind of a variation of Christianity. So there's the church. The church in this world is depicted pretty corrupt. Also, the government in this world is depicted as corrupt. And really everybody in this world is just very self-serving and evil, basically. So I don't know if you can blame any one specific group. Everybody's kind of just bad. Just some people are more dark than others for their own reasons. And like the world, again, like it starts out by saying the world's dark and gray, and it's just not going to be like a, lovey-dovey, story or whatever, right? So, but you got like the main character, and there's also like basically like a witch. Now, I mean, obviously as a Christian, witchcraft is a bad thing, but there's also a witch. So and then the Switch, she meets up with like this anti-hero who's I'm trying to think what's the term they called him. It's like a traveler or a hunter or something. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but some kind of like a mercenary that works for money, kind of like a hero, a little bit maybe even like in there's some different vibes of like the Fallen World. Like there's like there's some like Dying Light 2, there's some Fallout. The world's broken and fallen. Okay, there's a lot of fantasy themes in it too. I mean, again, I do like fantasy, right? I mean, but like, there's a lot of really sketchy stuff in the worlds too. But I saw this movie coming out in the theater, and I was like, man, if I don't go see this, it's just gonna be gone, and I'll never see it again. I like these like little jank fantasy movies. They resemble a world that has like Christianity in it, but also a world that's like, it's just kind of like a fantasy world. A lot of these societies, they make a lot of worlds like these. There's like a movie like the Seventh Son, or even something like Merlin, like the BBC version of it. And there's a few other series out there. But overall, yeah, I mean, I'm glad I went out to go see it. I think I was gonna play in the draft that night, one of those like F&M drafts, Magic the Gathering. I mean, it's like one of my hobbies, right? And the draft just didn't fire that night, and I think me and this guy, we just opened some packs up, and it was just kind of a fun little thing, right? And I went to go see that movie at the movie theater. Probably spent more than I should, but honestly, it was fun. It was a good experience. I saw a cool movie. I ate some good food. So this is the kind of thing I would like to do, is go out, like whenever I go see like a movie or something, or even just like maybe I might buy like a book one of a manga. I might make a little video on it or something. I know my channel is kind of just like, it's a little bit like a chill channel, but it's something I would like to do more, but we'll see what happens, right? Okay, so, and they had like Dave Bautista and like that chick from, I think she's from both Underworld. I think she's also she's part of like Resident Evil, kind of like a really like, I shouldn't try to swear too much, like kind of like a badass like woman, right? Who, I mean, you saw it at the beginning, right? Like, so she's like, they're the two really like pretty decent actors in the movie. So overall, I would say for the movie, I would say I was pretty fond of it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It was very action heavy, and like it was kind of like, so it's like one of those movies that are like, it's kind of like it's always moving forward pretty quickly, and they do stop sometimes and they talk, and like there's a decent plot to it. I don't want to go like too heavy into the plot, right? But to be honest with you, the plot was actually very well written, I thought, and it was a pretty interesting for what the movie was supposed to be. And like they did kind of pull the wool over your eyes a couple times. Like you didn't really know exactly what was going to happen. And I did appreciate that, because like, I mean, it's like good writing, right? At the end of the day. So okay, so some themes about this movie. Okay, so again, I'm gonna try to keep this somewhat spoiler light. So some themes, what are some good Christian themes I could talk about? And then what are some other aspects about it? So it does show the idea of like corruption in a government, and also the consequences of corruption. It did have some biblical like themes at times, even if it wasn't one-to-one biblical. Again, okay, so there's gonna be some spoilers, right? Like basically Okay. Let me just say from here on out, there's gonna be some spoilers. There's gonna be some pretty big spoilers, right? I'll just kind of say some of them. So the leader of the government, they have a patriarchy, and the patriarchy, their leader is currently dying. He's like an old man and he's dying, and there's this woman who's been leading the current government, but she needs a male heir. And she just, for whatever reason, just can't really get a son. And since the world's led by like a male government, you have to have a son. Also, there is this, there's also the church. And, you know, like the church and the government are working together. And it's like there's a lot of corruption and stuff, like a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So this guy who's the leader of the church, he basically wants to become the leader of the government or the people until he's going to assume the command of like the people until she can get a child, or she's going to get an heir, and the heir is going to start growing up. But he's going to assume power for like 20 years or something until he becomes of age. And this queen regent, she makes a deal with a witch, which is like very morally gray, and like in the world it's basically like it's like a big sin, and it's very evil. And again, like there's a lot of darkness in this world. Now witchcraft in this world is seen as evil, so it's like it's not really like seen as a good thing. It's pretty dark and pretty perverse. Just in general, witchcraft is very evil. So she basically makes a deal with this like witch that she wants to get a son. So she does this like pregnancy black magic voodoo thing to get herself a son. And she has like, you know, she sleeps with this like werewolf or something, and she's gonna have a son with some perverse, twisted manipulation. And this is a massive, just a huge plot. Honestly, I think this plot was extremely well thought out and well written. I mean, I understand there's always a lot of criticisms towards this, but like, it's a pretty intricate plot, to be honest. So, and then there's this like, you know, there's like the, I think it's like a beast hunter. I don't remember the exact name. I could look it up, but something like that. Like, you know, Dave Bautista, right? And so he's working on that. So the witch that he's with originally, that's the same witch who made like this deal with like this queen regent, and also like the bishop or whatever. And there's like this big complex twistings of like different drama and different problems. So then like this, so obviously there's a lot of spoilers here already, right? I know I'm kind of spoiling it, but it is what it is. Like, I don't know how else to do it without spoiling it. So this beast hunter, or this like mercenary, or he ends up being the werewolf who made a deal with the queen. So he's the one who's going to impregnate her. And then him and this witch work together, and they're trying to build up. Basically, the witch is trying to like level up so she can defeat this werewolf they're on the pathway with. But all along, the werewolf was the guy. It was Dave Bautista. And like all this stuff is mixed up together. And like the church hates this witch. The church believes this witch is like this like evil person, right? So the church is trying to like hunt down this witch, because like they're trying to like stop this rebellion. And they think the only way they're going to stop this rebellion is by killing this witch. Because this witch, okay, so they were going to put this witch on trial, right? She was originally supposed to basically be executed, and like the Christian church was going to kill this witch. And basically this witch used some like dark magic power to escape her execution. And like all of the people now look up to this witch, because like all the people, okay, so, and this is such, I know, I'm sorry, this is like a massively complex story. So like the people are like kind of living under this like oppression underneath this government, and they're like really mad. And you see the people that they're filthy, dirty. There's like hundreds of thousands of people in some kind of a city, and basically they're basically just angry with their government for whatever reason, probably because the government's corrupt. And they're looking for like a rebellion or something, and they want to uprise. And also because, you know, the queen can't get a male son, and basically people are just kind of pissed off. So it's this complex twists and turns, and the church is trying to stop this witch, So the people want to do an uprising now. They're looking up to this witch to somehow free them or something. Because the church tried to shut down this witch, and they basically, because they failed. And now people don't respect the government, and they don't respect the church because they failed in their mission. So you can understand why there's like a massive plot to this. So like, I mean, again, whatever criticisms people have of the movie, this is a massive amount of work to have to think about. So I can respect that. And all kind of works together, and they basically hammer out all the plot. So I think it was George R.R. Martin who wrote Game of Thrones. So it's no joke. Game of Thrones is like crazy good writing. So it makes sense why the movie had a good writing, right? It had pretty good acting and stuff too. So it's this huge drama. Like, the witch is working with like this beast hunter, and she's kind of leading him along, and he knows he's the beast, the whole time. But apparently, like, she also, as the witch, knew that he was the beast, or he was like some kind of like a werewolf or something. And the witch is on a contract to kill this werewolf, and it's a massive big mess. So, and the church sends this lady out, who I think her name is Ash. This lady's basically like the leader of, like, she's like some kind of like a military, like, leader or something. She's like super ruthless and brutal, and she's like hunting down both of these guys. And then while they're on this quest, and then she sends just like hundreds of soldiers, and she's talking about how she's like, this witch is gonna, like, she's like this witch is gonna burn in hell, right? Like, she's just really hell-bent, like zealous, which shows the church in a very, and I'm not saying it's always in a bad light, but it's a very morally gray light, and it kind of makes the church look like, it kind of makes them look bad sometimes. Like, they're very militant government and church, and they have this like massive train, because it has a lot of Mad Max vibes to it, and they're like hunting down this witch, and they're sending like massive forces against her. And then him and the witch are working together to try to survive. They have to wait. I think it's like 3 days from now. There's like, when the werewolf's gonna show up, and it's this complex. Like, maybe I might even have to go watch this movie a second time, to be honest. It's so complicated, right? But like, Ash is trying to hunt them down, and just throwing soldiers at them. Basically, just like, honestly, like most of the church's military just basically is destroyed because of it. Which in turn, because the church is sending so many different forces and like troops and resources and weapons and stuff, that leaves their government and their city like more or less defenseless against their people. And so this witch, and it's a big plot story, right? But basically, this lady Ash is just hell-bent on trying to kill this witch. She's trying to serve like her government or her bishop or something, or in holiness. She's trying to serve God. I don't really know if she's like a really good Christian or not, but I mean, it is what it is, right? And like the church, all their soldiers and stuff, they have like a big cross on their like vests and stuff. And they have like a big cross. They carry like a banner, or they have like big what do you call it? Big religious symbols and stuff. They also demand like absolute blind obedience to their people. So there is that. So, and like Ash just tries to stop them. She basically throws all these soldiers, and she drives this big train. Basically, at some point, she just tries to kill them, but they outsmart her by like blowing up like the train tracks or something. A little bit like Red Dead Redemption. Honestly, it was pretty epic. And they were just trying to like get away, and she just max speed flies at him, and she basically ends up just like going with the train and a bunch of her soldiers, and they go off the tracks after they blow it up. And basically, she dies, and all those soldiers die. I mean, to be honest, she was a pretty awful human being. I know that like maybe they're Christians, and to be honest, maybe they're not. I don't know, but it's like sometimes she felt like a villain, so you feel kind of good when that like an awful person ends up being destroyed. I mean, I do support the church, but like sometimes there is corruption too, right? And because Ash and all of her soldiers basically are dead, now the government is left defenseless. So the witch and the witch and the werewolf, they they have their big fight or whatever, and basically the witch kind of slays the werewolf at the end. There's a big story like twist and stuff, but the witch comes back, and all the people see the witch come back, and they're like, she's like the witch who couldn't be killed or something. So the people decide they're going to turn on the government now, right? And the government doesn't have much of a defense anymore. All most of their soldiers are dead, or they were sent out on this quest. And because they were sent out on this quest, they didn't return. So now there's like maybe like 10% garrison instead of like a full garrison. The people are mad, they're pissed off. They decide they're going to attack their government. It's corrupt, and they decide the church decide they're going to turn on the government, and like I think the government and their soldiers, they basically kill the people in the church, and then like, all the people in the government basically get killed. And because they can no longer defend themselves, right? They don't have a force in their team. And it's kind of like, it almost feels like a little bit like biblical. Like there's that story from the Bible in the Old Testament. Well, there's that king, he had his eyes like plunged out. And the last thing you're gonna see is your kids killed before you die. It was a brutal story. I mean, it was a well-deserved, but it was still really hard, right? And like this corrupt government getting overthrown and just eaten alive by their people. It has some biblical themes to it, right? Okay, so that's like, again, I know this is honestly, this is a very like spoiler heavy video, but I mean, I definitely would recommend a person watches it just honestly because it's just like a really good movie, and there was some decent Christian themes. Okay, so like what other Christian perspective could I put on this? Honestly, so like there was some good moral aspects and moments to it. This video is going to probably run out here soon. But there was some moments of like love in it. Okay, so like Dave Bautista, I don't remember his exact name, like the werewolf hunter or like I think it was like the hunter or something. He fell in love with like this woman out in the Lost Lands, and like there's this man and this woman who had like their own cabin. And like him and this woman, they kind of like they loved each other. I think they basically slept with each other. I mean, obviously we should have sex inside of marriage, right? That's a kind of a bad word. I probably don't know if I should say some of these words online, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. But they were, they were basically, they had this loving relationship, and like these people, they respected each other, and the church is hunting down this witch and this werewolf. So they decide, and they're basically trying to escape. And for some reason, they find out this like man and this woman, and they grab them. And basically, again, this is like brutal, right? Now I don't really know. It paints the church in an extremely great light. But basically, the church grabs this man and the woman, and they crucify him. Again, like this is like a brutal story, right? And they crucify them, and they burn their entire like homeland down. It's really dark crap. Again, the church and the government is highly corrupt, and everybody is corrupt in this world. But and then like Dave Bautista is like talking to Ash. I don't remember his character's name, but like he's talking to this lady Ash. I think that's her name. And some point within it, like he finds out she's still alive, and like this zealous like paladin, like super hyper like zealous, just kills her, and like Bautista just goes freaking wild mad, and he like basically just like hates her for it. I mean, to be honest, like it makes her she's painted as a villain, right? Almost, even at times, almost like The Witcher. The Witcher has their church, kind of representing a Christian church, also highly like corrupt, because that's the way they like to paint it, right? But like basically, he's like I might have to look the quote up. But basically, it's like, the idea of like the idea of like, like something about like, how, or like this lady's like zealous, saying that, she's doing this in God's name or something. And like, he's like, why would your God preach like hate, or I don't know, it's something, or it's like, isn't like your God supposed to be like loving or something? Like, why are you doing this to these people? Or I don't know. I might have to look it up here. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I can find that quote, to be honest, but it's something along the lines of like talking about how God exists, or something about like aren't you supposed to be like righteous because you're like a church, or something like that. And like, I don't know, it's something like that. I mean, I don't have the quote, but it was a pretty strong moment, right? So that was like a good potential Christian moment. And like there was like another thing, like, so another Christian symbol was like out in the lands, they had this like massive gigantic cross, just kind of like way out there in like the physical landscape, which is like a very like like iconic big giant like Christian cross, right? And some of the stuff, it's like, again, it's morally gray, but that doesn't mean it's not true too. It doesn't mean there isn't value to find from it. So there was some moments. Oh yeah. So what else was there? Like, I'm trying to think. I know. So again, there was the moment of redemption, and like maybe it shows the fact that oh yeah, another example, right? Now this also was a very cool moment, whereas the witch was trying to like destroy these so like when you go out at night, there's like these creatures out in the night. I don't know what exactly they are, like demons or something. They're really powerful, like twisted machine creatures or something, and they go out, and if you're in a certain area at night, they can come out and attack you, because there's fantasy moments to it, right? Because it's a very realistic world, but there's some fantasy themes in it too. There's like a werewolf and like a witch, and there's like these like demon possessed machine evil creatures or something. And like I think his name is called Boyce. So Boyce and I can't remember, what was it, like Mia, is that her name? Let's see. So I think it said her name was like Gray Ellis or something. So the witch and the werewolf, they were fighting together, and they had this like epic battle between these like all these different creatures, and like this witch ends up basically shutting down and like killing this like leader of this like twisted abominations. And it turns out that she's the reason that these things existed in the first place. She like betrayed or like pissed off their leader or something. It had some like cause and effect moments. Like this witch is like super power hungry. She wants more power. Because like her whole purpose in life is just more and more power. So she's trying to build her power up so she can beat this werewolf. Also for just her own self-serving gain, right? So, and it had some like ideas, like some cause and effect, right? So, and there was some good cause and effect in reaping and sowing. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to just ramble on for too long here, but overall, I thought the movie was pretty good, and I was pretty happy with it overall. And I mean, I don't know, I'm not sure what like rating scale I would even give some stuff on. I mean, I'm kind of a reviewer or a critic, but I'm not a super harsh critic, right? Some people are like really harsh, but I don't know. I'd probably, to be honest, I feel like I give this movie like an 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty decent and pretty good. It's definitely a movie that I would recommend. I mean, obviously it's more mature and adult, right? But I mean, I'm an adult, and odds are, I mean, most people on here are adults, right? So it is what it is. But because I don't really support minors on here, but I can't control it either. But my channel is meant for adults. But I mean, there's a lot of mature themes, but honestly, I thought the movie was pretty good. So overall, I was pretty happy with it, and I like some of these like jank fantasy content also. So I mean, I definitely would recommend it, and people who want to watch it, I would say it's definitely worth it, right? And it was a pretty solid movie, and like, I mean, I enjoy, like finding like good movies and just enjoying. I mean, I'm what's it called? I'm called Christian connoisseur, right? So I just like to just watch like cool, great content. And overall, I mean, I was pretty happy with it. So I mean, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, I mean, okay, so at the end of this, I guess I would say that, because, thanks for watching my little video that I made. And, I appreciate it. I'm humbled by whoever might be out there. I kind of just make these just for fun. It's kind of like a little hobby, right? But, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Yeah. God is good.